Hello everyone, welcome to World Cricket Chat. I am Shruti Chopra and this is Suneer Chowdhary. Hi Suneer.
Hi Shruti, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I've been good, not very good because our predictions for the IPL from our previous World Cricket Chat video did not come out too well, and especially yours because you're the predictor.
I know, I'm a little disappointed. I really thought Mumbai would make it to the playoffs. They almost did. They really did take it to the last over of their last match.
Which you had predicted that yes, they will have a slow start.
Yeah.
Which actually they always have a slow start. Not much of a prediction.
They didn't previous year. But before you start grilling me, I would love to hope that they do win next year.
We are about 10 months away from the next IPL, so we will not talk about the IPL. What we will talk about is the India-Afghanistan test match. The historic India-Afghanistan test match. That was why are you laughing, Shruti?
I read a tweet recently, at the beginning of the test match, saying I should quote the person, but I can't remember. But the person said that if the amount of times the word historic would be used, it'd be great to have a shot each time. So, yes.
So, look, I understand where that tweet was coming from, that the number of times it was used in the test match. And probably it's for the want of a better vocabulary that people like us keep using that word historic. But to be fair to everyone, I think it was a historic test match in more ways than one, when Afghanistan, playing in the 5th division less than a decade back, there are a lot of teams which have played in the 5th division. So the only team which has come up the ranks from the 5th division, played in the 4th division after that ascent to the World T20 in 2010, then played in the World Cup in 2015, narrowly missing the 2011 World Cup qualification. And then to play a test match. Just the 12th country in the world to play a test match. If that is not historic, what is, Shruti?
It is historic for sure, and it is the right word to use. I just think somebody took it in a bit of a jest and found another reason to have a shot.
Yep.
I think that's just really what it was.
Must be a Royal Challengers Bangalore fan. No, Royal Challengers, but not because they every time Royal Challengers win a match, you have a shot. No, not because of that.
But then that person wouldn't really
be drinking at all. Okay, but IPL aside, let's get back to the Afghanistan test match.
Yes, a test match that was over in 2 days. The first test match that was played in India in the month of June. And it was played in great spirits. I loved the way Stanigzai, Afghanistan's captain, named each player at the beginning of the match. I know you mentioned another IPL related thing to it.
Well, it was a surprise because not seen any captain, or at least I've not seen any captain do that at the toss, naming all the 11 players. And the way he did that was without batting an eyelid. It was almost like he wanted to do it. And we've seen what happens in the IPL. the captains, actually this previous IPL, Kane Williamson actually asked his opposite captain what my 4 overseas players are. So, coming from that point of view and having a captain who's named all his 11 players was a pleasant surprise. Apart from that, there was a Ajinkya Rahane gesture at the end of the test match, and I'm kind of fast forwarding it to the end of the test match, where he called all the Afghanistani players and shared a picture with them with the trophy, and the trophy was also handed over to them at the end of the photograph. That was an amazing gesture, and it just points to how even the Indian team thought that it was a historic test match.
Yes, it did, and there were times when the Afghani players were taking photos separately with the Indian players. It also shows the bond that these guys share. Afghanistan do use India's grounds as their home grounds. We saw what they did to Bangladesh recently.
Yep.
Brilliant stuff.
And
and the fact that we have 3 players in the IPL and 2 of them play with Shikhar Dhawan.
Yep.
And that takes me straight into my first point. Perfect. I like it when things work out like that. So Shikhar Dhawan played beautifully, 107 of 96 balls and 100 in a session. Amazing stuff. He also mentioned one thing, that he's played Rashid Khan so many times in the nets, and because they're teammates in Sunrisers Hyderabad, it made it a lot also easier for him. Let's talk about how brilliant his innings was.
Shikhar Dhawan, I think when it comes to home test matches, there is a different aura around him. There's a different sense of invincibility around him, and it doesn't matter if it's Rashid Khan, or we saw what he did on his debut in India against Australia. Australia had a decent bowling lineup. They lost 4-0 in that series, but he absolutely smashed them. It did not look in that test match that he was on his debut. Shikhar Dhawan batted like as experienced a guy as he could be, and it was very similar here. The bowling attack was obviously not as experienced for Afghanistan, but there was always that Rashid Khan threat. We knew that Rashid Khan has done whatever he has done in the white ball format. We knew that Mujibur Rahman, who is not bowled in first class cricket but has done a lot of bowling in the white ball format again, has been Indian batsmen have found him difficult to play in the IPL. So we knew that threat was always going to be there. I think Afghanistan was one of the very few teams who were making their debut with that kind of a bowling attack. Bangladesh, when they made their debut, had a good batting. Zimbabwe, they had a decent batting, but none of these teams had a great bowling attack. Afghanistan went to the match with a good bowling attack, and the way the two openers, Murli Vijay in a more understated manner, Shikhar Dhawan in a very aggressive, in-your-face manner, the way they dismantled the Afghanistan bowling, I think that is where the test match turned, according to me.
Right there in the first session. But that also, I'm just a regular cricket fan watching who watches.
So am I.
You're a little bit of an expert as well, I'd like to add.
I wouldn't say that. We're all students of the game.
I know. So you're in a higher class
Let's
than me.
Get back to the analysis.
So I was watching, and I was thinking that spin is something that we were all looking forward to watching, considering you mentioned how the Indians were struggling with some of the spin that they were facing in the IPL. So we were looking for that combination of competition. But it's the pace bowlers that did really well, but they were also pretty underbowled, don't you think?
I'm not sure about underbowled. I think what happened here was that Bangalore traditionally has been a spin-friendly wicket. We saw what happened in the IPL as well. It was turning much more than other pitches. So when you have a pitch which is turning a lot in the white ball format, which usually doesn't happen, you expect it to maintain its nature in the red ball format as well. That did not happen. From ball one, there was moisture on the pitch. There was some grass on the pitch. Probably prepared for India to prepare for the England tour. Probably to blunt the spinners' potency, if I could call it, the Afghanistan spinners' potency. And I don't think Afghanistan went into the test match thinking about all those things. They chose what they thought was the best bowling attack. Yeah. I'm not too sure whether that's the best batting lineup, but I think they chose their best bowling attack irrespective of the conditions. When they were faced by that kind of a pitch, they were one seam bowler too short. I think both the seam bowlers, Wafadar Momand and...
is that his first name, second name? I couldn't find his name.
I'm not sure whether it's his second name or no, but that's what this full name is.
So
Wafadar.
We get to know what Wafadar's other name is.
Wafadar Momand and Ahmed Zai, both of them bowled the quota that they were expected to bowl. I think it was only natural that once the wicket hasn't fallen in the first few overs, that Stanik Zai would get in his premier spinner Rashid Khan. He tried. He kind of bowled all the spinners a reasonable spell in the first couple of sessions before he knew that he had to get back to Rashid Khan in the final session. And I think there was a spell in the third session where Rashid Khan and Mujibur Rahman did a good job.
There was a second rain break there.
That was a second after the second rain break when India lost all those wickets, but not just when they lost all those wickets, because Rashid Khan took just one of those wickets. There was a run out as well. There were a wicket taken by the seamers. It was just the way he bowled. The Indian batsmen were struggling during that period. I think they did well. Ashwin and Hardik Pandya did well to see them off to the end of the day's play. And then the next day, the way Hardik Pandya batted again took the game away from the Afghanistan batsmen, Afghanistan side. But when it comes to the bowling attack, I think they went in with a mindset that this might be a spinning track. B. A mindset that this is our best bowling attack and that we are going to be playing three spinners.
There is something that a lot of people have tweeted about, a comparison between Shane Warne's debut and Rashid Khan's debut, that how Shane Warne on his debut took 1 for 150 against India in Sydney, and Rashid Khan in his debut took 2 for 154 against India in Bengaluru. So, can we compare what sort of future these two will have? Is that a little early?
Well, I think
unfair?
I think it's unfair. I think it's very early. But one common point here was that Ravi Shastri was the one batsman who took on Shane Warne in that debut test match, and he's the coach here of the Indian team. And I remember Ravi Shastri's words to Shane Warne. He had said that, mate, if there'll be a lot more days where you will bowl a lot worse than this, and you will get many more wickets. And I have a feeling that Rashid Khan did not bowl too well in those first two sessions, did well in the third session, but give him even that slight amount of assistance from the pitch, he will be a bowler to watch out. And let's forget about the jokes around his age, whatever his age is. If he plays on for a few years in this format, if he gets a lot, even if he plays against the top teams, give him little help from the surface, he will run through sides. Even if it's a surface like the one that we saw at Bengaluru, where there was not a lot of help, with a little more experience, because Afghanistan don't play a lot of domestic cricket, first class cricket. They play T20s, they play one day domestic cricket, but their 4-day competition has just started about a year or so ago. If he gets that kind of experience playing with the red ball, experimenting with different fields around him, because I think he did not get the fields that a leg spinner should have got, a leg spinner who was bowling a lot of googlies, he did not get the feeds. There were a lot of shots through the mid-wicket region by the right-handed batsman, yes. And there were no fielders
clearly
there.
Pointed out by the commentators
Exactly.
time and time again.
Exactly, and I was very surprised that Stanixai did not give him the field. Probably Stanixai thought that he should be bowling a lot more leg spinners, and as Rashid Khan said, that he was unable to do that with a new ball, unable to grip the new ball. All these things will come with experience, with more of the domestic cricket, and I think that is where Rashid Khan could probably not become a Shane Warne, probably he will, but probably become a great spinner in his own right.
Suneer, you mentioned something about the domestic circuit, how Afghanistan have just started playing 4-day matches. There has been this general suggestion going around, not one specific person has really said it, a lot of people mentioned that how maybe teams like Afghanistan and Nepal need to be incorporated into India's Ranji system. So, any thoughts on that? As in, it sounds odd because it's a domestic thing and these are international.
No, it has a precedence. In the UK, there have been teams like Scotland who have been included in the one-day competition, if I'm not wrong. I'm not very sure whether they've been included in the 4-day competition, but that also might have been the case. So I get where a lot of these guys are coming from, and I think that's a good move on paper. Technically speaking, it's a decent move. Practically speaking, they have their own domestic competition, so that's going to be probably doubling their competition, playing 4-day cricket. Their competition is held between March and May at this stage. The Ahmed Shah Abdali 4-day competition, but if not Ranji Trophy, I think Duleep Trophy is a good way to initiate teams like Afghanistan and Nepal. And why I say Duleep Trophy is probably a better way of going about it is because when you talk about Ranji Trophy, every team plays 6, 7, 8 matches if you're talking about just the first round, and then the quarter-final, semi-final and the final. So essentially you're looking at anywhere between 6 to 10 matches. Probably Afghanistan and Nepal do not have those kind of resources, or do not want to play those many matches because they already have their own domestic competition. But to call them for something like a Duleep Trophy, which last season had 3 teams, India with the different colors, India blue, red, green, if for that competition they do get called up and they can play a couple of matches during the months of October, November, that would just help them. So that's one way of initiating them to a lot more of first class cricket. I do understand that at least Afghanistan has a good first class structure coming up. Not very sure whether Nepal play a lot of 4-day cricket, but if they can play in the Duleep Trophy, if the BCCI thinks that that's the next step in helping Afghanistan cricket, Nepal cricket grow, then I don't think there is any problem with that.
I personally would love the idea of watching the Nepal's cricket team or Afghanistan's cricket team, even if it is the Dilip Trophy, something that improves and increases their exposure. And I'm pretty sure the crowds will come and watch. They came for the Afghanistan Bangladesh. That was brilliant.
It was actually brilliant. I did not expect. In fact, I expected more people to come for the test match. But
yeah.
I sensed that it was a weekday. Plus, it's not in Australia who's playing. It's not England who's playing, for whom we have seen crowds. We've just had an IPL where Bangalore we saw were chock-a-block crowds. But I expected more crowds out there. I was very pleasantly surprised to see the amount of cricket, the amount of people in the stadium in Dehradun, which is what happens when you send cricket to the places, the venues which have not hosted a lot of cricket as well. You see that kind of support there.
Yeah, they're desperate for that. It's thirsty for it, and hopefully we'll see maybe an IPL game there at some point, considering the sort of response. But I'll stick to Afghanistan still. It's quite a transition between white ball and red ball, and you also mentioned something about how you didn't think it was maybe their best batting side. So, and it pretty much showed out in each of the sessions. 10 wickets, second session of the day, 10 wickets, third session of the day.
Shikhar Dhawan scored a century in a session. Afghanistan got bowled out twice in 2 sessions. In one session, they scored a little more than what Dhawan had scored. In one session, they scored less than what Dhawan had scored.
And I think somebody responded to a tweet saying that Dhawan should be given a chance to better.
He was given a chance. He basically in the second session, in the second innings, Afghanistan allowed him to score more than what they had scored in the session.
But Afghanistan's batting. Let's how do they take that forward now? I know we've spoken about maybe incorporating them into maybe the Dilip Trophy.
They need to play more 4-day cricket. I think that was where they were lacking. I think some of the shots that they played came right out of the white ball textbook, and that is going to happen if you're not playing a lot of 4-day cricket. Probably this is a team that they've been sticking with through the Intercontinental Cup, through the T20 formats, through the one-day cricket format, and they decided to go with a very similar team. But once the dust settles down, once they realize that this is probably not their best batting lineup for this format, they might have to go back to the domestic structure, the 4-day format, and see who are the best players who can live up to the expectations
and really apply themselves and just be with it, be patient.
Yes.
I think a lot of times they lost patience.
I think Shahidi showed in the second innings that what patience can do. He batted on, remained unbeaten, scoring 30 odd. But the rest of them, I think the problem is that they have played so much of white ball cricket that the natural instinct to attack the ball comes in. Someone like Mohammad Shahzad was trying his level best to not get very impetuous, and then he ran himself out.
Yeah, it's tough to change your second nature that you've built on.
We've seen Stanek Zai, who's not a great hitter of the ball, even in the white ball format. In the second innings, he looked like he was getting there. He was getting the hang of how to bat in this format, and then suddenly he lost his mind. He tried to play a big shot and played against the line and was caught. So those are things that will come only with experience, and experience of playing a lot more domestic cricket. I think there is nothing can replace experience. You can have a lot of talent, but you'll have one batsman who has a lot of talent. What about the rest of the 5 or 6 batsmen in the team? They will need that experience, and even the talented batsmen will need experience. Someone like Sachin Tendulkar, he had the experience of playing a lot of cricket even at that school level where he would bat on and on and on. He had 2 nets in the day, and Tendulkar was an exception. Let's not even compare Tendulkar here. For anyone to get to a level of playing test cricket regularly and trying to win matches, you need that kind of experience.
Fair enough, but let's also praise India's bowlers. They did really well. I mean, Ashwin took 4 wickets in the first innings.
Jadeja took 4 more in the second
innings.
And then there were the fast.
Ishant did. I mean, his hair cut good. I like it. I'm glad it's shorter. And
that's
he did
the dress designer in you. This I don't know, what do you call yourself? Fashion guru in you. coming
I don't
out
call
on-
myself that at all.
The others call you a fashion guru. They ask you for a lot of advice.
Nobody asked me for any advice. So we'll move on from that, but we'll stick with Ishant Sharma. He did really well in the. He bowled pretty well in this Test match, but
Yes.
he's also had a good time in the UK.
In the UK, yes. He had a good county run, and again, you look at the opposition and you take it with a pinch of salt. It was a opposition which had a weak batting lineup, so let's not jump in elation just yet.
But
Ishant Sharma did bowl a lot of good lengths there.
Yeah, that's
Something that he has not done in the past. Something which has changed in the last 2 or 3 years. It's not happened overnight for him as well. This county stint has definitely helped him. We saw he was getting the ball to swing. He was getting the ball to seam. He was earlier more a seam bowler than a swing bowler. He was getting the ball to swing in those conditions, which were very different from what you usually find in India. So that was a definite positive. I was looking at some of the stats from Crick Wiz, and in the first 4 years of his career, or till 2013, the lengths that he was bowling vis-a-vis the lengths that he was bowling after 2013, there's a very, very marginal change, about 8 to 10 centimeters fuller. The speeds that he was bowling at, there's a reasonably more, the bigger difference there, 4 to 5 kilometers faster, and he's got more seam movement between the two periods. So when that has happened, his bowling average has gone from 39 in those first few years to 30 in the last 4 years, and that's a huge change from where he was. At one stage, I thought that he was given too many chances in the Test squad. I think his career at one stage was done. He was being too spendthrift when it came to his bowling. He was giving away runs, not picking up too many wickets, called himself unlucky for some reason. But I think that has changed. His bowling has undergone a transformation. He is a leader of the attack. In 2015, the first time that I thought that he's probably become that leader, when he played against Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka. He was banned for a Test match after that because he got into an argument with Damika Prasad. But since then, I think there's been a marked change, and I have a feeling that he will be one of those bowlers to look out for in England.
And that's a prime example of what practice and hard work and application can get you.
I think in case of Ishant Sharma, I would call him lucky more than unlucky that he got those many chances. He got
chances, but then he at least used the fact that he's
no doubting that. No doubting
your
that.
luck will run out at some point.
But we've seen a lot of bowlers who have not been given those many chances. I think there's some sort of talent spotting that happened, that this is a guy we need to back, this is a guy that will deliver results, and whoever did that, hats off to that guy, and hats off to the team management for supporting him, for being there, and we've seen the results.
So let's just quickly say, where do Afghanistan go from this Test match? I don't think they have any Test match lined up.
They don't have a single Test match lined up, which might not be that bad a thing, because there's a World Cup coming up, 2019 30th May, which is less than a year to go. And if they need to, say, not make it to the semi-finals, but at least try to become like the team that plays party poopers to some of the top teams, then they better start focusing on the World Cup. So it's not that bad a thing that they're not playing too much Test cricket, because when you have a big series planned, then your focus will get away from the World Cup, and then you don't need to make things go wrong in a format that you're doing well. So that's one thing that I think is fine. Afghanistan, if they can plan probably 1 or 2 Test matches against Zimbabwe or a lower ranked team, that's fine. But otherwise, I think it's great that they have started playing Test cricket, and once after the World Cup is done, I think a lot more could come their way.
I think it just would be fair if Afghanistan do get to play a couple more. Otherwise you need a little bit of momentum, a little bit something that you'd want to go back and work on. Yep. But India, they go to Ireland, but Test matches in England.
That's still some time off. Ireland T20s, then there are the England T20s, the ODIs, and I was just looking at what a lot of people are saying on social media about what the Indian, because we're talking about a Test match, what the Indian Test squad should be for England. And
Yeah, you ask some interesting questions there, but go ahead.
I think you were the interesting questions asker. But yep, the playing 11 is going to be an interesting one. Virat Kohli wasn't present in this game, so we had Pujara batting at 4, Rahul batting at 3, the openers being Shikhar Dhawan and Murli Vijay, Hardik Pandya slotting in the middle order. Wicketkeeper was Dinesh Karthik as a stand-in for Saha, but there is a case for him to become a keeper for the England series. I have my doubts about it. I have my own concerns about that. But given the way things have gone, he might make it to the playing 11 for England as well if Saha isn't fit. But Saha, if fit, I think is my first wicketkeeper for that series. The more important question is who bats in those top 5 places.
Why don't we leave that as a question mark for just before the series begins? Because there is still, as you said, the Ireland T20s and the ODIs and the other T20s. And
the one more question, let's forget about those test matches, is who replaces Ambati Rayudu in the ODI team if he is indeed being found unfit by the yo-yo test. And surprisingly, yesterday when this news broke that Ambati Rayudu has been ruled out, supposedly, because I don't see an official confirmation yet, might happen today, but when this news broke out, Twitter had yo-yo tests trending. So it's gotten to those levels that everyone in India...
Do you want to try one day?
A yo-yo test? No, thank you. I don't think I have those levels of fitness. I don't think I can match the 16.1 that the Indian team needs. I'll be probably somewhere.
You just build your own.
Let's talk about cricket here. So, yes, so that will be interesting to see who replaces Ambati Rayudu. Names have been bandied around. But let's wait and watch.
Yeah, let's keep that for our next video, and which we should be back before the England series begins. So end of the month.
Yep, we should be back by that time.
By June end. So I super if you're still listening to us, and if you are, it's been a long video. It has been, and if you are, then please like, do share, do subscribe, and do all those wonderful things, and comment as well if you want to give us some feedback. We'll be happy to read.
This is Shruti, I'm Suneer, and this is World Cricket Chat. Bye-bye.
Bye.